Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. I'm TCaptainX. If you're looking to get more kills in Warzone and possibly break your personal record for kills or your PR, this video is going to help you do exactly that. I was able to break my PR in what I like to call a stacking vondel Resurgence lobby, meaning all of the teams we were going against were playing completely together. They were sitting on rooftops, and it's hard to do well in some of these lobbies, yet I was able to put it all together. So we're gonna go sort of inside the mind of how I was able to do this and give you guys a bunch of tips on how to get more kills in the game here. So number one, I'm playing duo quads with my teammate Cup of Joe, and we're dropping in here on vondel. Unfortunately, we have a lot of fog to start the game, which is not going to help with visibility. So when I'm landing in, the first thing I need to do is I got to find a decent gun. I'm only able to find a Fennec here, find a Bass P. There's a lot of people landing around us here. Now, I had just seen the guy jump over in this room, so I know there's a good chance he's either through this window or he's gonna be on either side here. So I come in, and as I check, I'm gonna get this first down here. Now, from this very first kill, I wanna point out something because this is such a kind of underrated thing that you need to be doing in every single one of your gunfights. Notice, I want you to watch the enemy and watch how he kind of is moving side to side, but so am I. We are both strafing side to side, meaning we're pushing all the way to the left or all the way to the right on our analog stick on our controller, or if you're a mouse and keyboard player, be pressing A or D. Number one, if you're a controller player, you're going to increase the amount of rotational aim assist you get when you are strafing and shooting, especially in these closer to mid-range fights. But the other thing is you are a moving target, meaning it is harder for your enemies to be able to hit you. So just keep that in mind and try to be doing that constantly. Now in that situation, I had clearly heard someone above me and I'm able to get that kill. However, what I want to point out here is if you play Resurgence, you have to get in the habit. This is absolutely necessary. Every time you get a down and finish, your eyes have to go to the minimap here. Because as you're gonna see, I get this finish and I've got 2 pings on the minimap. So these are his teammates that are landing back in. I know they're landing back in because there is the pink dot with the up arrow. The up arrow simply means they are higher above me from a verticality standpoint. So as I turn around here, I start looking up into the air because this dot is closer to me. There's that up arrow there. You're gonna see, here he is, he's landing in. So we switched to the long range gun. I tried to jump over and mantle, but I unfortunately missed the mantle there. So all good. So I'm trying to figure to get back up when I have another person run in front of me. He's right in front of me, so I might as well go get him. Looked like the guy I just killed earlier, and he was landing back in. Again, eyes go mini map here. We've got 2 more players. Got one above us, probably on the roof, and the other one, assuming he's landing in since he's floating over the water there. So I've got more audio cues above me. We just saw a player there, but notice how I simply slow down and I let him come down to me. Now, the reason I jumped down there is chasing up those stairwells can be very, very risky. If he's a decent player, all he's gonna do is he's gonna go to the top of that stairwell. He's gonna get plated back up by the time I get up there, and he's just gonna wait for me to come up there. I don't want to take that fight. I would much rather take a different angle. So always, instead of pushing from that same angle and chasing, just find a different route to work around. So we do that. I'm hearing audio cues of this guy. We're gonna hit a very simple slide through there on this guy. Very, very simple movement technique here, because I hear this guy very clearly up behind these bushes. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sprint and we slide kind of through and under him. And you're gonna see he's trying to catch up. And it looks like the guy was just landing in. He only had a pistol. I get a ping there from his teammate, and I knew he was above me, so we're able to shoot him. Now, eyes again go to the minimap here. And you're gonna see, I'll really quick here, I'm gonna take off my webcam just so you can see where I am in game. In game, my eyes are looking to the left at the minimap there. So turn this back on here. Now I've got 2 solid dots ahead of me. So that means they're on the same level of me vertically. And this guy is on the same building of me. So once I get my gun reloaded, I'm just gonna peek out and start aiming down that way. There he is. He was coming towards me, and actually my teammate Cup of Joe got the other guy, so we did just get a team wipe. Now, we've still got dots on the minimap in our area, so now we know there's still another team here. And if you might have heard, I also just heard a zipline audio cue. So I look, I just saw him barely go in here, and we just slowly pre-aim this. Now, this fog is very frustrating. Even me watching back this recording, I can barely see this player here. He's actually right there in front of here. And I remember in this moment in game, I didn't shoot for about a half second or so because I literally did not see this guy until my brain kind of registered the movement of I think the operator's head was like a lighter color and I was able to identify it. So get that kill. We had gotten pings across here, and Joe at the same time is also communicating to me, hey, right across from us. So I'm gonna just try to get a different angle, get some high ground, trying to see where these guys are. We're not really sure. Joe's working from up top, so I'm gonna push over and from the bottom. We're gonna try to kind of hit a little bit of a pinch here. One thing you'll notice about how Joe and I play is we're always usually in the same vicinity, but you will almost never see us hip to hip, kind of right on top of each other. Able to get a clean kill there. Now, that we have again, I don't know if you can tell, it's very hard because of my arrow. There is a pink dot, and you can just see this pink arrow above me. So there's a player directly above me, and then there's another one over here floating in. And Joe is kind of making comms that he's pushing towards that one right now. So again, I know I had a guy just above me. He might have been floating in, not sure. So as I come up, I'm kind of pre-aiming every time I come up here. I'm checking all my surroundings. Not really sure where it is. Joe's gonna end up getting the next kill, and we just got another team wipe. So now we've gotten 2 team wipes. Now we're like, okay, most likely we've cleared the area. Now we're finally getting a loadout. Now take note, I've got 8 kills before we even dropped a loadout. When you're landing in, here's kind of how the priority of things going. Number one, obviously you gotta get a regular gun so you can start pushing people and fighting people that are gonna be right on you. After that, kind of the goal is to clear the immediate area around you and get enough money to buy a loadout. Once you've got a loadout, now if your goal is to drop high kill games and break your PR, you have to get moving and find the next hot area. Now, one thing you're gonna see here is we're seeing a few red dots on the mini map over here, okay? As we keep going this way, we're gonna see, and in a moment here it is, 1, 2, 3 dots. We almost always rotate from when we land there and buy. This is kind of our next area, just because it's kind of near the market center area of the map. It tends to be a hot area. And what I have here is I actually have a portable radar, and watch what happens when I throw down this portable radar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have at least 3 teams here in this area. Number one, I want to point out how good portable radars are. Portable radars are almost as good as a UAV. They're just so underrated. They're only, I think, $2,000 to buy in a buy station. So if you don't have 6K for a UAV, buy a portable radar instead. But watch how we kind of take on this fight. A lot of them have up arrows, so we know they're up on the roofs. So we're going to work up to the roof here. Joe's already up there shooting. And now we got people landing in. Things are getting crazy. But notice how we are not just like full steam ahead, put the blinders on and go into this mess. That's a big mistake I see a lot of people do, especially when they're like, oh, I'm going to break a PR. That means I have to push everything. No, you're going to see I play a lot of these fights very slow and methodical, and I still end up breaking my PR. I am literally just up here on the rooftop. Now I get a precision airstrike, so we have to go down at this point. One small tip here, when you're in these stairwells, go down at least 2 to 3 levels. If you stay in that top level, you can very easily get wall banged by the precision airstrike. It's very frustrating when it happens. Now look at this, 1, 2, 3 people landing in. I believe what was happening here was I'm bountied at the moment, and I think this team hit a redeploy zip probably over by like Stadium, and they're pushing me because in a second here I'm going to go to a 3-star bounty here. So I get shots on. We start looking this direction now. I'm making sure nobody's pushing up behind us. Joe's getting me pings, and now I have a guy right in front of me. And also, if you notice, I'm now 3-star bountied. So I think this was my bounty team. Get the down here. Now notice this. See how I drop off? I took no fall damage. That is because I'm running the Mountaineer perk. You can see it down here. Highly recommend running the Mountaineer perk if you are playing Vondel. I think it's good for every map. But now let me go back here just a second. If you saw, there's a player right here. There's also a guy landing in right up there. And as I start pushing that way, I was going to reload. I cancel the reload, slide out, and we're going to quickly get this down and end up getting a finish. Again, eyes go minimap, and we've got an up arrow over here on the building kind of ahead of me. So I'm like, okay, let's work up the high ground. Always, especially in Vondel, but this goes for any map, you really need to try to prioritize working to high ground. I'm not saying you get to a rooftop and you sit there all game, but you're going to be much better to fight top down than you are bottom up or horizontal to horizontal. It's better to, instead of pushing up from right under them, go from the side of them and try to get downs here. Now, I get an armor crack there, but notice how I immediately peek down and I don't oversell for that to try to get that down because I got high alerted there. So another perk that I would say is almost a necessity is High Alert. Honestly, I think High Alert is too good of a perk. I think it's kind of imbalanced at times. Is as I'm shooting this guy, I get high alerted to the left, the orange bar here. That means somebody from my left is looking at me. Now, the TTK in this game is still pretty fast at a lot of times. So I don't want to risk, if there's somebody right on this rooftop next to me, if he has a decent gun, he could kill me before I can even react and prone behind this wall. So I don't even risk it. And I just immediately get down and I start kind of looking, okay, where is this guy? And there is a guy right here. He's in the corner. He throws a smoke to try and get out of here. I try to push over to find him. And I don't know where he went. He must have jumped off or something like that. But now I'm getting high alert in the back, I'm getting shot in the back. Like, nope, we're out of here. And again, this is another reason why Mountaineer is such a good perk. It allows you to just jump off these 3-story buildings without having to waste time and pull your parachute here. Now I don't know if you'd hear that very clearly. I heard in game here, the zip line. I know just from map knowledge that there is a zip line on this building coming from the water's edge here. So I'm gonna immediately look in here, and that's where the zip line is, right on this window. I don't see him in here, so I have to assume he's in here, and I believe I heard him to the right there. Now, I don't know what happened here. I hit my first shot, and for some reason, the second one just didn't fire as fast as I expected it to. I didn't mean to run the shotgun in this game, actually. I was doing kind of like a challenge with it in a game before on solos, and then Joe joined me, we decided to run quads. The shotgun is not what I recommend. It's a lot of fun in solos, but not great in some situations here. Now, you are going to see I am landing back in here right where I died. The only reason I'm doing this is because Joe calmed out to me, hey, I got that guy that killed you. You're good to land on your stuff. Otherwise, I see so many people that are just like full sending back on their stuff. I promise you, you will be better to take an extra minute or two, land off a little bit, find a gun, and then work back to your stuff. Or even just say, screw it, and just stick with ground loot, buy your guns again, buy another loadout, etc. So that's why I do it. We come back here, I'm trying to get my guns, when all of a sudden, before I have a chance to get it, another guy pushes in. This is a totally separate guy. I think Joe was kind of yelling at me and commenting like, hey, there's a guy coming, and he just wasn't able to get to him. He was actually just sitting at the top of the stairs the whole time, just kind of waiting on me. Now, again, Joe's like, hey, I got that guy. You're good to land there. So third time's the charm. We're gonna land back here and finally get my stuff, except, I don't know if you saw that, there's a guy that just watched through the window right here. Right here. Here comes the guy. This was the first guy that killed me that's landing back trying to get his stuff again. So I'm just going to grab the first gun I get, which ends up being my TAC Eradicator. We're able to get him down here. Joe comes over to help as well. But look at the minimap. 1, 2, 3, all with down arrows right over here. Also, keep a note of the zone here. We're between the edge of zone and the next zone. We still have 40 seconds till the timer comes, but this is going to be important here because things are going to get really hectic. So Joe's kind of holding these guys off from me. I'm trying to loot. My goal is to get my guns, get my perks, find a gas mask. So I'm going to stow the gas mask because I don't want to have to deal with it. Now, Joe gets a little aggressive here. Joe is a much more aggressive player, honestly, than I am. I tend to be a little bit more patient and try to sit back, and it can be a blessing and a curse for both of us, just depending on the situation. I'm able to get one of the downs here. Now, because we're in duo quads, whenever one of us goes down, instantly my mind becomes, okay, stay alive. That situation there, I had a very clean peek over that guy, and because I'm able to down and finish him, the timer is going to speed up to get Joe back. Whenever you open chests, whenever you get downs or kills, that is going to speed up time to get your teammates back in Resurgence, as long as the Resurgence timer is available here. So Joe's back at this point. I just saw a guy over here, and this guy was landing in. Again, Mountaineer allows me to just chase him, don't have to pull the parachute. Apps 100% recommend running this perk for Vondel here. Now, Joe's going to end up getting in a little bit of a loadout blunder here. He tried to land on loadout, and there's just way too many people here, and he ends up going down. Now, he's going to spawn back again, luckily. But now, keep a note of what's going on here. Zone is starting to move, and I have to move in here, and there are still a lot of people around this area. This part of the map was extremely congested here. But notice again how I don't just go full sending. I sit, I'm just aiming my gun, seeing if they're gonna peek out, and they're not at this point. So I'm like, you know what? I've still got time. I can rotate up to high ground and try to get some downs. Now, I re-challenge here because I did hear footstep audio here down below me. And I don't know what it was with the shotgun. It was funny. The game before when I played in solos, I actually ended up dropping a 20+ kill game in solos. I could not hit my shots to save my life for some reason in this quads game. So actually later in this game, I ended up dropping the shotgun. Now we hear the audio cue from the zip line there, but notice how I play this, and this actually ends up saving my life a little bit here, and I didn't mean to, but so we hit the shot. Now most people would just say, okay, we hit him, let's just go push in. You know, I probably have the advantage here. Again, what I mentioned earlier, when you have the option, never chase from the same route that the enemy saw you. If you have an option, take an alternate angle. So all I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go around to the left and shoot through here. And here's why it's important. There's a guy laying down right here. And this is the guy that I first shot at. I actually didn't even see him until he stood up. But thankfully, I'm able to get that down here. Now, minimap pings. Down arrow here, up arrow here. That guy's probably floating in. Hearing a lot of footsteps around me, trying to see is somebody pushing me, so we're just playing slow, and there we go. Now, another thing I want to point out here, and this is more of a basic tip, but I still see so many players making this mistake, especially with slide canceling back in MW3, is centering around corners efficiently. So I'm hearing stuff. When I come and I challenge this corner, I notice how my crosshair is always in the center of where that doorway, that opening is going to be. And I wasn't for sure if there was going to be a player there. I heard something, but notice my crosshairs are pretty much dead center in this doorway, and here comes a player. That means I don't have to fix my aim. And even though it took 3 shots to kill, which normally it's a 2-shot shotgun, I'm able to get that. Now I did pop a stim there because I was in gas and I hadn't equipped my gas mask here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get plated up and I'm gonna put the gas mask on because now I got gas on me. My rule of thumb, the gas mask, it's a little frustrating the way it works in MW3 Warzone. I'm not a big fan of it. I leave it stowed in my backpack, but when I know I'm gonna be in a situation where gas is gonna be on me, that's when I put it on. Especially like end game, I'll just put it on here. So I'm gonna get everything reloaded before I jump off here. I'm just taking my time here, and here comes a guy right in front of me. He didn't kind of check behind him, so I'm able to get that kill here. Now, when we peek over here, we've got an up arrow floating in, probably his teammate, and we've got a down arrow over here to our right. I get high alerted though, so I'm looking, okay, where is this? Probably somebody floating in is who high alerted me there. Again, I'm just looking ahead. I can jump off mountain here, no parachute, and hello, there's people right in front of me here. But the way I play this is actually crucial because I think this was a huge pivotal moment because if I would have went down here, I probably would have went into the loadout blender and not been able to get my loadout after this. So I'm playing behind cover here. We get one down here. Now I'm very weak. But notice in this second fight how little my body is exposed the way I am playing off of this car that I'm using for cover. I really do a good job here of maximizing my cover. See how I kind of strafe to the side, get closer to cover there, and then when we peek out here, we get another one here. Now also Joe is way back here, and Joe is giving me live pings during all this, which was huge. It was absolutely major, and that's just something else I want to point out is when you play with your teammates, you don't have to be on top of each other to do well. You can play in the same area and be still supporting each other. So we get the finish. Now, I know there was still, I saw a total of 3 people there, so I know there's still one more. But notice how I played up. I've got the gas mask. Even if I didn't have a gas mask, there's nothing wrong with me being able to sit in gas, make sure I'm reloaded. I can pop a stim if I need to because I am running stims. Again, we're taking our time. We're being nice and slow here. I hear someone laying behind me. We get the finish, and there's the third guy is just laying waiting for me. But again, another small thing I do there is I end up going behind this counter here. And instead of standing here in the open where he can have a full angle to shoot me, now I forced it where he only has about this much room to hit me. And this maximizing cover is still one of the biggest things I try to preach to people about how to play better in this game. Now I'm looking back because remember, we saw that guy land in. So I'm like, where is that guy? I'm assuming he died in gas, not really sure. Again, things are very hectic. Joe is up here on this roof giving me pings and giving me callouts and kind of supporting me as I try to make it back into zone. Lots of arrows or pings on the minimap going around me. And again, I'm just kind of playing by cover. I'm making sure nobody is out here lurking on the edge because there were so many people that were forced to rotate in here, which is exactly what I was doing basically. So again, we get everything reloaded. Now at this point, Joe and I were actually commenting to each other. We're like, do we want to buy another loadout? Because Joe lost, I think, his perks at this point. He had his guns, but not his perks. But then we start seeing a bunch of people over here. So we're going to start working over this way together. We get one down here. Another guy is going to end up kind of poking out here to the side here where all these live pings are. And this is also another area where like the shotgun is just not good. I'm in that awkward range where like it'd be fine with an SMG, but it'd take a while to switch to my AR. I actually pick up this WSP Swarm off the ground. I'm like, do I want to use it? I don't know. I ended up leaving it just because I'm weird with certain builds. If I'm like, if it's not my build, I don't know if it's the right one, it might suck. So, but what I end up doing here is in a little bit, I actually go up to the buy station and I had an extra SMG that I bought just because the shotgun was not working for me this game. And I'm getting some really good clean shots here with the Eradicator down, and we get 2 pings up here. Now I do want to point out, you might see there's a third kind of ripple. So there's 3 total ripples. This third one doesn't have a dot with it. So what does that mean? It can mean one of 2 things, and I don't like how this works in this game because it's different how it worked on Rebirth Island and Fortune's Key back in Warzone 1. Either one, it could mean the player is ghosted, which is how it was in Warzone 1, where you got just this like ripple ghost ping. It also could mean though that they have a teammate that is downed, that is dead and waiting to respawn. It can mean both. I hate the way that it is, but just so you guys know, that is how that functions. I don't like it. So I'm gonna up here, like I said earlier, I am gonna buy that SMG. It's like a max mobility striker build. I'll put the loadouts in the video description. It's not like an absolute meta SMG, but it's a lot of fun to run, I will admit that, but it does better for me than the shotgun was doing, to be completely honest. So still lots of pings. We have to get into zone here. Excuse me. And I'm getting enemy dropping to the area. So again, I'm trying to get the high ground here, and we end up having a guy on my rooftop. We get a quick down with the striker here. Now, very important here. Watch how there is a solid dot here. No up or down arrow right over here. Joe's down here, so I know Joe is coming up the stairs here. So I come out to him, hey, add the top of your stairs here, because I know just from map awareness that this right here is a stairwell. So as I come in, we center the aim on the top of the stairwell because that's exactly where the minimap told me he was, and Joe was just a second or 2 behind. We would have pinched him perfectly. I just got there a little bit earlier is all. Now we still have to keep, we're kind of like right on the edge of zone here. I get high alerted from behind, which ends up being above me, and we end up getting that guy out of the air here. Eradicator, very, very good gun. It's between that and the pulley mark on my 1 and 2. Now, let me go back here just a second because I'm gonna call, I have a UAV. I'm gonna call this UAV 1, 2, I think 3, 4 dots. So this is some of the, and you're gonna see this in the end game, the way some of these people are playing. A whole team is rotating in here all together. These guys, 1, 2. Now here's a small tip here. Notice how when I get this first down here, crack, we get the down. A lot of people would just finish the down, which there's nothing wrong with doing that. But because I know I downed him in the middle of the street, and this guy he's trying to get to cover. He's probably going to try to run and jump into the water or get into behind like one of these little walls over here. I know I don't have time for this finish. So I'm going to instantly go for the other down. And now I know, okay, now I know that guy is down. Now we can. Now there's still 2 more dots here. They're kind of fading away. There's a dot here and a dot here. So I calmed to Joe, hey, one of the guys went to the houseboat is what I said. And then I see on the other one's right below me here. So I look down, he's running away. Again, Mountaineer, run, jump off. This is a little risky to chase here, but he was trying to get plated up, and he hits a nice little movement on me. I mean, he tries to kind of like side cancel across my camera, but because he's in a small room, not enough room for him to work, I'm still able to get that down, especially since I caught him in the middle of plating. Joe got the other guy in the houseboat. Bam, that's a team wipe. So I just want to point out, we're at 29 kills at this point. And at this point, I kind of made a calm to Joe. I'm like, hey, Joe, I'm on a burner. And he's like, I got you. And Joe's on a good game too. I mean, he's on 16 kills. He got in a little bit of like a loadout blender where he couldn't get his guns back kind of thing. But at this point, Joe is like, hey, I got you. You know, let's go drop a banger. And Joe's by no means going to start like feeding me kills. But he's like, you know, I'll back off a little bit. I'll let you kind of take the lead here. So now this is where I love live pinging, and live pinging I feel like is kind of broken. If you can train yourself to live ping somebody while you're shooting at them. So I still have the default up on my D-pad is how I live ping. If you have paddles, you could consider binding a paddle to it. I've heard other people use other random buttons too, but me personally, I've just gotten very good at hitting up very quickly on that left D-pad here. And basically what it allows me to do is I can completely track this guy behind a wall, almost as if I had wall hacks here. And I just follow the ping. We get the down. Now he's got the perk that throws the smoke after you get the down here. Now I'm not going to overextend for this thirst here, because there's a strong chance that this guy doesn't have a self-revive. So I'm not super worried about it. Now, and when I pop my UAV there, and something else to take note of, and I haven't mentioned this enough in this, is one of the keys to dropping high kill games is obviously things like you have to, you know, get in the action, not be afraid, and obviously not get in the blender and stuff like that. But having constant UAVs going up is a massive. And the way you do that is by just having cash flow of completing bounty contracts, but also just looting bodies and not focusing on looting just like boxes. You have to constantly, as Joe says, loot bodies, not boxes, is the term that he likes to say. So constantly trying to keep UAVs up between you and your teammates is massive. So we have this UAV, and I thought this guy was going to come up top, but he was actually, it looks like, downed in the water and just floating by. Joe's going to push up and get my finish from earlier. So now we are at 30 kills here. Now, this end game is going to get a little hairy here, because let's kind of, the UAV allows us to kind of figure out how we want to play. 5 teams left. So there's me and Joe plus 4 other teams here. You've got a team in Castle here. You've got a team up farther ahead, which is in this center building out here in the distance. And then you also have, it looks like 1 or 2 teams that are on top of the university parking garage here. Now, we know that university team is going to have to rotate here, but we're going to look over and you're going to see that there is, they're the type of team that they like to pick a rooftop and they're sitting there all game. So let's see. I get a better shot here where you see all 4 of them. Here, there. Maybe 3. No, here's the 4th. 1, 2, 3, I think 4 players. All right there on top of there. So now we know this is a horrible fight to take. We're not going to go push this because they're going to have to come to us anyway. But we don't want to get shot in the back from one of these other teams. So we're going to push up, get into zone here. And at this point, Joe and I were like, okay, do we want to push the castle team that's right here? Or do we want to just push up to this next team that had pinged in the center here? I kind of wanted to push the castle team, but what we ended up doing though, and this was the right call, I think, by Joe. Joe was like, hey, these guys are focused on each other. We can go wrapping behind and take this team. And I think this was 100% the right call by Joe. And I was like, all right, we got it. Let's go. So we've got 2 guys in the building and we've got 2 out. And there's also another team over here, actually, now that I realize. Now, this guy, I walk right by him. This guy, I'm 90% sure was on a recon drone, because actually just before this, I saw a recon drone go out. So he's in the little recon drone. We pick up that kill. Now we've got 1, 2, 3 right here in front of me here. 1 goes down. But again, notice how I'm not overextending for the thirst there. And Joe also was great, and he hit me with some live pings, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna sit back, you do your thing, I'll help you if you need it. And that is not gonna lie at all here. That helps a lot when you're in these end games and you're trying to break a PR here. I mean, most likely I still break it even without that, but that's still great when you have teammates that are willing to help you there. Now notice how I was fighting that one, but I get highlighted to the right. And I've got this guy who's shooting an unsuppressed weapon. So I'm like, nope, we're out of here. We run behind cover. We throw a plate on here. This guy's going to end up pushing me here. And I hear this audio cue. Bam, he's actually right in front of me. Very hard to see and all that kind of fog and stuff, but we get that down. Notice how also when I'm plating, I'm usually running back and I'm running behind cover and repositioning while I'm plating, in case I'm live pinged or just to kind of move. We get it down there. Now notice how I got high alerted here, and this guy was coming from over here, I believe, and I make a call out to Joe, and you also see him on the UAV. You see 1 ping right here on the UAV. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna wrap around to the left here. These guys are kind of focused on Joe, who's moved up to the right. Here comes the first one. We get the down. Now this guy broke my armor, so I know I have to get plated before I get back in this fight. You don't want to just go gun crazy, because yes, these guys are being forced to rotate in. There's a lot of people there, but I need to take the extra few seconds here. Now, if you just saw, there was a guy, there's 1, 2, 3. Oh, hold on. That's all laggy here. Let me go back here and get a better picture of this, because this is how this lobby was playing, but it was because I was able to kind of just like play smart that I'm not able to go down in these situations here. Let's see if we can get up. 1, 2, and I'm pretty sure there's a third behind that wall. But again, notice how these guys are hip to hip. They're literally lined up in a line. So when I'm shooting them, I end up shooting both of them at the same time. But notice how me and Joe, we are split a little bit. We're together, but we're taking opposite angles. Joe's shooting them from over here. I'm shooting them from over here. We kind of have them pinched together here. And I'm also playing together off of this cover. Now, I don't know how a bush ends up being impenetrable by bullets, but hey, it is, and we're going to go with it. So we get like 2, 3 of them cracked, not really sure. We're gonna rotate around to hit another angle here. One of them kind of pushed up. We get one down, use the throwing knife to conserve some ammo. Here comes the other one. Now, again, take my time. I've got 2 down. I'm not getting immediately pushed. I get high alerted, so I move up, and I'm going to get plated here, and I'm trying to find where's this third one. I'm shooting through bushes. Here is the last one. He was laying in that bush over there, because I knew I had seen 3 people there. So at this point, we're down to a 2v2 here. So I remember I had got high alerted to the right, so they're over here somewhere. Not really sure where here. Joe's calming. He's like, hey, I think they're in here in the main building. I'm looking there. Not really sure. I get high alerted to the right though. So I'm like, okay, they have to be somewhere over here. Start looking. Now we see movement. Now again, that guy kind of had some good shots on me, but again, I'm playing off of cover. All I have to do is prone behind cover. I can throw plates on, reposition while I plate here, move around here. We're going to move up, take a completely different angle. Joe does get a down here on one of them. I'm not going to overextend for the finish here. Now, I don't know if Joe is trying to sabotage me here or what. Joe pings over here and he's like, oh, the last guy's across the bridge. I'm like, oh, okay, it's cool. So I start looking over there. And maybe Joe's eyesight's going bad. I'm not sure. He's over there. I'm like, what? Joe, he's over here. So we end up pushing him. We kind of push this together there. There you go. So some things I want you guys to take away from this, hopefully. And I'll show the loadouts here at the end here really quick too before we wrap up. But number one, there is some times where things just have to kind of fall into place there. It's not always going to be perfect every game. You're not going to break a PR every game, obviously, and drop 20 kills plus every game. Even I struggle at nights plenty of times as well. But when you play smart, when you don't let yourself get in the blender of dying over and over to stupid things, and when you can, especially in quads, when you play with your teammates, but you don't play on top of each other, because that ends up being a more likely chance that you guys can die and wipe when you're right on top of each other. The things can go right. So hope this video helped. If it did, please consider subscribing here, and I'll show the loadouts here right away. All right, here's the TAC Eradicator loadout that I was using. This is probably my number one, or it's right up there with the pulley mine in terms of my favorite long range gun right now. Definitely can switch the optic, or you can go iron sights, take this off, put on like a recoil control rear grip, or maybe a laser for faster ADS, something like that. Very, very good gun. If you want to see the shotgun, this is it. I promise you it's good. I just sucked with it this game. And then this is that striker that I used at the very end. It's like a max mobility build. It's pretty good. It is a lot of fun, but a lot of recoil, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to use at range.